Will you be my date? The perfect day for everyone else. The afternoon sun cast a golden glow across the sprawling garden venue, where white roses climbed wooden trellises and fairy lights twinkled even in the daylight. The Mitchell family estate had been transformed into a wedding paradise for Robert Mitchell's daughter, Sarah. Guests in their finest attire mingled on the manicured lawn, champagne glasses catching the light as laughter floated through the warm spring air. At the edge of the celebration, near a quiet grove of oak trees, sat Victoria Chen in her sleek silver wheelchair. At 34, she was the youngest female CEO in her industry, known for her sharp business mind and innovative leadership of Chen Technologies. Her navy blue dress was perfectly tailored, her dark hair swept into an elegant updo, and her makeup flawlessly applied. To anyone watching, she looked like she belonged at this high society gathering, but Victoria felt anything but comfortable. She watched as couples swayed on the dance floor that had been specially installed on the lawn. Business associates and family friends moved in easy circles, greeting each other with warm hugs and animated conversations. Victoria had received plenty of polite acknowledgments throughout the afternoon, brief smiles, quick hellos, and the occasional awkward pause when people weren't sure whether to bend down to her level or speak from above. The truth was, Victoria had almost declined the invitation. Robert Mitchell was a respected colleague and sometime business partner, but social gatherings like this reminded her of everything that had changed 3 years ago. Before the accident that had left her paralyzed from the waist down, she had been the life of every party. She had danced until dawn, traveled the world on a whim, and never thought twice about accessibility or whether a venue could accommodate her needs. The weight of solitude. Now, as she sat watching Sarah's wedding unfold, Victoria couldn't help but feel like an observer rather than a participant. The ceremony had been beautiful, but she had to arrive early to ensure her wheelchair could navigate the gravel paths. During cocktail hour, she had positioned herself near the garden's edge, where the ground was most level and she wouldn't block anyone's view. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through work emails, a familiar refuge when social situations became overwhelming. Her company was thriving. She had just closed a major deal with a tech giant, and her team respected her leadership. In the boardroom, her wheelchair was simply part of who she was, no more noteworthy than someone's choice of suit or briefcase. But here, surrounded by couples and families celebrating love and new beginnings, Victoria felt the loneliness that she usually kept carefully hidden. She thought about the relationships that had dissolved after her accident, the friends who didn't know how to act around her anymore, the dating attempts that had ended in awkward disasters. "Aunt Victoria!" The cheerful voice interrupted her melancholy thoughts. She looked up to see a young boy with tousled brown hair and grass-stained knees running toward her. Behind him, walking at a more measured pace, was a man in his late 30s with kind eyes and a slightly rumpled suit jacket. An unexpected connection? "Emma, slow down," the man called, but he was smiling as he said it. Victoria realized with a start that this must be Emma Rodriguez, though she looked different than the little girl from the stories Robert had shared about his company's employee appreciation events. "I'm sorry," the man said as he approached. "I'm David Rodriguez, Maria's husband. You probably remember our daughter Emma from the office visit story that made its way around the business community last year." Victoria smiled genuinely for the first time all afternoon. "Of course," the brave little girl who advocated for her mother. "I heard Robert was so impressed that he promoted Maria to building services supervisor." David's face lit up with pride. "That's right. That meeting changed our lives. Maria loves her new position, and we've been able to get proper medical care for our son Carlos." He paused, looking slightly embarrassed. "I'm sorry, I don't think we've been properly introduced. I know who you are, of course. Chen Technologies has quite a reputation." "Victoria Chen," she said, extending her hand. "And please, just Victoria. It's nice to meet you, David." Emma had been eyeing Victoria's wheelchair with the frank curiosity that only children possess. "Does it go fast?" she asked. "Emma." David looked mortified, but Victoria laughed. "It's okay," she assured him, then turned to Emma. It can go pretty fast, actually. Want to see? She pressed the joystick forward, gliding smoothly across the grass in a wide circle before returning to them. Emma clapped with delight. That's so cool! It's like a really fancy car. David shook his head, but he was smiling. I apologize for my daughter's— Don't, Victoria said firmly. She's wonderful. Most adults tiptoe around the wheelchair like it's made of glass. Emma treats it like what it is, just another way to get around. The invitation as. If summoned by their conversation, the wedding band began playing a slow, romantic song. Couples moved toward the dance floor, and Victoria felt her earlier melancholy returning. She was about to excuse herself when David did something completely unexpected. He knelt down beside her wheelchair, bringing himself to her eye level, and said with genuine warmth, Victoria, would you do me the honor of being my dance partner? Victoria blinked, certain she had misheard. I'm sorry, what? I asked if you'd dance with me, David said simply. My wife couldn't make it today. She's home with Carlos, who's fighting a cold, and I hate to see such a beautiful woman sitting alone while there's music playing. Victoria felt her cheeks grow warm. David, that's very kind, but I can't exactly dance. Says who? David stood up and gestured toward the dance floor. I see a woman who runs a multi-million-dollar company, who probably negotiates billion-dollar deals before breakfast. Are you really going to let a little thing like a dance floor intimidate you? Emma bounced on her toes. Say yes, Miss Victoria. Daddy's a really good dancer. Victoria looked at David's outstretched hand, then at Emma's encouraging smile. Something stirred in her chest, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. Not pity or awkward politeness, but genuine inclusion. David wasn't asking her to dance despite her wheelchair. He was asking her to dance, period. The dance, okay, she said quietly, then louder. Yes, I'd love to dance with you. David's smile could have lit up the entire garden. He took her hand and led her wheelchair onto the dance floor. Other couples made space naturally, and Victoria felt the familiar anxiety rising in her throat. But David seemed completely at ease. Here's what we're going to do, he said, positioning himself beside her chair. You're going to be the most graceful dancer on this floor, because you get to glide while the rest of us stumble around on 2 feet. He placed one hand on her shoulder and held her hand with the other, moving in time with her wheelchair as she rolled slowly in small circles and figure eights. To Victoria's amazement, it felt like dancing. The other couple smiled and nodded as they passed, and she realized that what had felt awkward in her imagination was actually quite beautiful. How did you know? She asked as they moved together to the gentle rhythm of the music. Know what? How to make this feel normal, natural. David's expression grew serious. Because it is natural. My son Carlos has been dealing with mobility challenges since he was little. I learned early that the only disability is the one we create in our minds. Section 6. A New Beginning as. The song ended. The other dancers applauded, not condescendingly, but with genuine appreciation for the grace they had witnessed. Victoria felt tears prick her eyes, but they were good tears. Thank you, she whispered to David. Thank you, he replied. I haven't felt this lighthearted since, well, in a very long time. Emma ran up to them, practically glowing with excitement. That was so pretty. You looked like you were floating. As the evening continued, Victoria found herself truly enjoying the celebration for the first time. David stayed by her side, not hovering or being overprotective, but simply being present. They talked about their children. Victoria shared stories of mentoring young women in tech. David spoke proudly of Emma's academic achievements and Carlos's brave spirit. When it came time to leave, David walked with her to the accessible parking area where her modified car waited. Victoria, he said, hesitating slightly, I know this might be forward, but would you like to have dinner sometime? Maybe somewhere with excellent wheelchair accessibility and a 7-year-old who thinks you're the coolest person she's ever met. Victoria looked at this kind man who had seen her not as a disability or a challenge to overcome, but simply as a woman worth dancing with. For the first time in 3 years, she felt hopeful about what tomorrow might bring. I'd love that, she said. I really would. As she drove home through the quiet streets, Victoria realized that sometimes the most meaningful connections happen when we least expect them. And sometimes, the most beautiful dances are the ones that don't follow traditional steps at all.